Welcome back. Steve Price in for Andrew Bolt. Andrew will be back with you tomorrow night. Now, I forced myself to sit through the ABC's Four Corners last night. They were doing a piece on the supermarket wars. And the CEO of Woolworths, Brad Banducci, this is a bigger mistake that he made over Australia Day almost. He walked out after having a heated exchange during an interview with the ABC. You know that this same bloke suggested Australia Day had nothing to do with food, and he ditched all the Australia Day merchandise on sale. Well, he had a shocker in this interview last night. Have a look at this.
Sorry, the former head of the Competition Commission says his words are that
retired,
we have...
by the way.
I don't think you would impugn his integrity and his understanding of competition law.
I'm just saying the world has got much more competitive.
He retired 18 months ago. He's not...
Okay, can we take that out? Is that okay? I mean, he is retired, but I shouldn't have said that, Angus. Are we going to leave it in there if we are?
Well, I mean, we're on the record. You said it. I mean, you know, let's move on. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm done, guys. You know, I do this with good intent. You know, I don't do this with bad intent. No.
You're walking out?
No, of course, we'll be finished in a second.
Well, his media advisor then grabbed him and convinced him to sit back down, but it was a bad look for Woolworths, who are already under a lot of pressure over what they did on Australia Day. Will Kingston is part of our panel tonight, host of Australiana, that weekly podcast from the Spectator Australia, and Danica DiGiorgio, who's doing a fabulous job at Nights on Sky, and she will be up after the special tonight on MH17. Welcome to you both. Danica, you've done lots of live interviews. It's never a good look for the talent to stand up and say, oh, I didn't mean to say that. Can you take it out? And if you don't, I'm leaving.
I mean, what an absolute shocker, Steve. I felt uncomfortable watching that. It makes you absolutely cringe that Brad Banducci, or just Brad, as we know he likes to be called, actually walked out of that interview. And what makes it worse is his media minders came fluffing after him. They were absolutely wetting themselves over this. But look, this is a shocker. He is meant to be the CEO of Woolworths, a major company. If he can't take basic questions and important questions too on price gouging, he should not be the CEO of his company. But as we know, he's actually going to be appearing at the Select Senate Committee into prices in supermarkets soon. So, Steve, if that was his performance in an interview, get your popcorn out. I've never wanted to watch the Senate more than I want to see Brad Banducci in front of the Senate. It's going to be absolutely great viewing.
You and me both, and the CEO of Coles, she handled herself brilliantly and came out of it looking pretty well. Will, I want to ask you about councils. Now, I've got a big bee in my bonnet about local councils getting themselves involved in things they shouldn't be involved in. Now, you got the Melbourne City Council tonight actually sitting there debating a motion, and I'm not making this up. This is the whole Melbourne City Council debating a motion on whether Israel should be called on to have a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. I mean, what a complete joke.
Dave, I can't fathom the delusion and arrogance that it must take from a local councillor to assume that anyone gives a toss what you think about global geopolitics. This is emblematic of a problem across all levels of government in Australia, and that is that we no longer get the types of people in government who are interested in servant leadership. They're there fundamentally to prop up their own ego and to virtue signal. Councils are not a sexy job. It's footpaths, it's roads, it's the bins. But it's an important job for the lives of their constituents. And unfortunately, that is increasingly out of step with why most people go into politics today, which is not to serve their fellow citizens. It is to grandstand. And unfortunately, I have a sense that this local Melbourne inner city electorate will probably let them get away with this sort of nonsense. But it is a real shame and it's out of step with what they should be doing, and that is the bread and butter issues that local councils need to be involved in. The other problem, Danica, and you may be reporting on this later tonight, is that there
Are members of the Jewish community going to turn up? They're upset about the fact the council's having this debate at all, and that's their right to turn up there. It's, I imagine they are Jewish members of the ratepayers of the city of Melbourne, but also pro-Palestinian protesters are due to turn up. The police are going to be there. So we're going to have, again, one of these pressured situations, which is unnecessary because the council should just shut up and keep their head out of this stuff.
It's totally unnecessary, and it makes for a very uncomfortable situation for the members of the community who genuinely do rock up to these meetings because they want to have their say, as they should have their say. Look, I completely agree on this, that councils need to mind their own business, stop putting their hands in our lives and do what us ratepayers actually pay them to do, and that is to look after roads, rubbish and rates, and that is stop telling us how we need to live our lives, stop pushing agendas on us. I just fear it's getting out of control, to be honest, Steve.